Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the Long Coat Mafia podcast. It is I, the Reverend Godfather, the show's main host and front man. And this week I have kind of a special treat for all of you, and that is, one, not only is this kind of a hostful episode, I do have an interview that I recorded a few weeks ago that I decided to drop now instead of waiting a few more weeks to kind of drop it. But for those of you who don't follow us on social media yet should, I just want to let all of you know that our GoFundMe campaign has officially started, and the website link is not only going to be in the show description, but I just want to let you know it's GoFundMe.com/help-the-long-coat-mafia-podcast. Now, for those of you who haven't been listening fully, if this is your new episode, this GoFundMe that I just started this week is to help us get new equipment for the show that's a little bit more expensive than just me saving up for a week or two to actually get. And that is pretty much a new computer, or I should say a new laptop, a DSLR camera, and a GoPro camera. So hopefully this campaign is a success. I will be openly transparent with this campaign, which means once I get each or all of the equipment, I will be more than happy to do unboxings, share receipts, and everything else to show all of you that we have actually gotten this equipment and that this is what we will be spending or have spent the money on. Any extra beyond the funds that we get will go towards either backup equipment or going to a show that we don't normally go to in the area, and we'll be donating it. That all depends on how much more we get over the goal. So we'll have to see. Honestly, we'll have to see. I'll discuss it with all the donors that once everything comes in reference to what happens, and also all of you. I am going to be as transparent as I can possibly be in regards to this. So that includes unboxings, posting up receipts if I can, and everything else. So that's that. But as I said, first things first, I am going to share with all of you a interview I did at a local beer festival about mid-August last month. So here it is. It's an interview. I forgot the beer company. I was kind of three sheets to the wind at the time. You may notice that. I do apologize for that. I tried to keep my composure as much as I can. And no, I was not speaking fluent Aussie. So I will say that. So I hope you enjoy this interview. And here it is. We're here with Fin City Brewing Company, a local brewing company out of Ocean City, Maryland. If I may, how long have you guys been brewing beer?
We've been brewing since 2007 and started out in our garage. And we had a pumpkin beer. We entered in the 25th anniversary of pumpkin chucking. We ended up winning the world championship with our pumpkin beer. And Sam Calagione was gracious enough to put us on his episode of Brewmasters TV. And with that airing, it was only like a 1.5 second clip of me pouring the beer. Then they did a close-up on our label. And our social media just blew up. And we decided from that point on that, you know, we might have something here. So we decided to start a brewery. So.
With a lot of people out there that enjoy a lot of the bigger brewing companies that are out there, like Budweiser, Yuengling, Coors, what are the struggles that a smaller company like yourselves has to deal with locally and nationally?
Well, basically it all comes down to distribution. So the more breweries that come online, the more it's a bigger challenge to get a quality distributor to distribute your product, because they only have so much capacity that they can deal with. And so the more breweries that come online, the harder it gets. And the larger macro brews, they're kind of making it a little tougher on the small guys by either buying up all the small breweries and then adding them to the portfolio, or picking us up and not actively distributing our product. So they kind of squash us out.
But do you see a lot of, in recent years, a lot of folks have been gunning towards the local microbrews such as yourself. Have you noticed that in recent years? Or
Absolutely. We get a ton of support from local communities, so that's why we love doing these festivals. We come out, and we're, like this area here, Martinsburg, West Virginia, we're relatively new to the area, and we're getting a ton of positive feedback on our beers. That's why we love doing these events. And being in these new communities, it helps us spread the word of our brand. So
please don't mind the phone in your face. We're trying to get the best audio we can in an environment such as this. You're here at the local Boots and Brews Barbecue Festival here in Martinsburg. You have two beers here today. What can you say about the two brews that you have here?
So we have our Bohemian Style Key Lime Ale. It's called Bimini Key. It's a light 4% golden ale with fresh key lime. And then we have our Double Hook Double IPA. It's a nice balanced double, not offensive. It's a great double. Real nice citrusy finish and easy to drink.
For a lot of the people that like the independent brews, what struggles have you found that are out there? This might be the alcohol. I'm trying to form a decent question out there. What are the struggles are there for the independent brewery out there?
So it's basically, again, goes back to distribution, finding good distributors to distribute your product and help spread your brand, and getting shelf space and tap handles in new markets. That's the toughest part of what we're trying to accomplish. And it's getting tougher by the day with the number of new craft brewers coming on the market, and there's a lot in planning that haven't even opened up their doors yet. I'm not sure how they're going to fare, but all we have to focus on is putting good product on the street, and people will come, and people will start asking for our beers, which they're already doing. As you can see by the response that we're getting with our Bimini Key and our Double Hook IPA, people are liking our beers. They're going to tell their friends, and they're going to call our distributors and ask them where they can find those beers, and that's all we can do.
So I know you brought up the distributors several times in this interview, and so it's more so the distributors not finding out what kind of recipes work or what going against the larger folks such as Budweiser and Coors, but it's more so the distributors and the other microbrews that are popping.
Well, it's more of a partnership, collaboration, if you will. They tell us what's working in the market, and we try to come up with beers that will support that market. And to date, we've been pretty successful, but coming out with the right beers at the right times, and having great product for people to try at events like these. So.
Has there been a learning curve with this type of business?
Absolutely, yeah. Starting small out of my garage, it was a ramping up to doing like 100-barrel batches from a 5-barrel batch. That was a definite learning curve. So we've come a long way in a short period of time, and the future looks very bright for us.
What do you have to say to a lot of the people that want to possibly branch out beyond a Budweiser or Coors?
Try craft beer. Go to your festivals, go to your local beer stores, go to your local tap rooms, because they always have something new and exciting on tap, and expand your palate that way. Ask for samples. They'll be happy to give you samples of any beer you want to try, and try new things, because that's the only way you can learn, right? If you don't, if you drink Budweiser your whole life and then you go out somewhere and say I only drink Budweiser, you're really hurting yourself and limiting the possibilities of trying new things and expanding horizons. There's a lot of great beers on the market, and I encourage anybody that's a light beer fan, start off on the light end. Start off with a light golden ale or a nice light amber, and work your way up and just start trying new things. You'll be surprised at what you can teach yourself. So,
would you recommend people branching out into doing their own brews or being a microbrewer themselves?
Absolutely. Yeah, the more of us there are, the more market share we can take away from the big guys.
So I don't mean this in any way type of a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
more or less supporting the backlash. I won't say backlash, but this a pushback against the larger breweries.
Absolutely.
So,
That's not negative. That's a positive thing. So I don't take it negatively. I take it as a positive. Yes, we are. We're going after the big guys. We're going after their market share because they've been trying to push us down and squash us out for a number of decades. All right. We had this craft beer boom 20, 25, 30 years ago, and they squashed us out, almost. There was a few guys that hung around, like Sam Adams, like Yingling, still around, right? And all of a sudden, you've seen another craft beer boom. This isn't new, right? But it's a hell of a lot stronger than it was 20, 30 years ago. And we got momentum now, and we're going to take this market by storm, one account at a time. One tap handle at a time.
So in essence, you're telling the up-and-coming craft breweries, don't give up.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us in the fight.
Especially
the more of us,
quality product, quality beer.
Exactly. Yeah. Pursue your dreams. Chase the craft, and put good product on the street, and everything else will take care of itself.
Have you found it tough dealing with the different state laws regarding beers?
Absolutely. Every state is different. Every county is different in every state. So it's a challenge that needs to be researched. These new guys coming on board, do your research before you step into this industry and realize what you're getting into, because it's a dogfight. And again, every state's different. Every county's different. And there's different laws that you have to learn all across the board. So there's a lot that goes into this. It's not all just fun and games and just making great beers. It's navigating the sea of law and governance that controls our industry, and changing that at the state level. Every state is going to be the key to our success.
So in essence, you're telling a lot of the independent folks like yourself, don't give up. The struggle's hard.
Struggle's hard, but we're Americans, right? This is how America was founded. It's about true entrepreneurial spirit and pursuing our dreams and chasing something that we believe in. So why give up? Why don't let somebody tell you that you can't? Can't should not be in the craft brewing dictionary. We can. We'll take over one day. One day we will overcome Budweiser and the rest of these guys, and we'll be number one.
And again, I'm speaking with
Vinny from Fin City Brewing Company. Vince Wright.
And you can find his beer at Kindred Spirits here in Martinsburg, and it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And that was our interview. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, this was at a very local beer festival. And now we're going to kind of switch gears and switch to our Hostful that we recorded last night. Now you're going to hear predictions from for Hell in a Cell, which kind of aired tonight as of this part of the recording and editing. So I'll go into that after everything else that is said. So I just want to kind of introduce and lead into the Hostful that was recorded last night. And joining me in this kind of Hostful is again Big Candy. So here is that Hostful right now, and I hope all of you enjoy. Alright folks, welcome back. I hope you if it was included, hope you enjoyed that little beer festival interview I did. And yes, I was probably at that time a little few sheets to the wind, if you will. So with me right now, as I stated in kind of like the intro, and between everything, is Big Candy. The reason why I have him on is because it's been about more than a month. It's been close to 2 months, folks, that he's been kind of on the air with me. So it's about time to get caught up in what he thinks about everything right now. And I do blame him for making me somewhat of a sound guy. That's right. It's all your fault, Big Candy. So
that's right. What do I think about everything right now? It all sucks. Good night, folks.
Oh, god damn it.
End of the show. See you later. See you next week.
See you next week. Oh, god damn. Shortest episode ever. So,
Sure it is.
I kind of blame you for the whole, just going through those panels and kind of witnessing, I won't say witnessing, but in a way witnessing of like people just walking away from the mic and just like, crap. 6 minutes.
You did a really good job boosting those, by the way. I was like, hell yeah. It's funny, like when I was there listening to those panels, like it sounded shittier live, but it sounds good on the recording. The only one that had some like issues, bunny ears, was the Frank Bennett one. It was really echoey, but that's because he spent a lot of time away from the mic. I get it.
Yeah,
but
he was on the PA mic, so that's why it might have been a little bit echoey. So as long as they used one of the mics, that was fine by me.
Right. The one last week worked out really good. It sounded really good.
I think about 2 minutes.
And I didn't know that because I wasn't in the room for that one. That was one of the only ones where I wasn't there live for, and I didn't know all that stuff about the plane crash on the top of the mountain. That gave me the willies. I was walking around Walmart doing my shopping, and I was getting the willies.
And the thing is, I with that one, it's like I try to be a little bit professional. It's like I think I overdo it a little bit. It's like if I have a guest on, or like with the panels that we put up, I tend to, it's like, hey, with them, it's like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I know it's been a while. I introduced myself. It's like, I'm with, the Long Coat Mafia podcast. We recorded the panel. And I said, well, just let you know, the panel that you did is now up in here. And I kind of provided every single link that I had, which is the direct link, the Apple Podcast, the Google Play, the whole. And I said, that's yours. Do as you want. And they pretty much put it up on their Facebook page, and it's been kind of a hit in a way. So
that's good.
I won't say it's been a big hit, but it's been kind of steady than the other not the front, like his and I think Frank's have been kind of the steady two panels, or the bigger followings over the past few weeks than the other two panels.
Oh, okay. He probably sends a lot of people to his website. That's probably why. So he's got his book, by the way. I read his book. It's excellent. If you want a different perspective on like paranormal and monsters and UFOs and stuff like that, that's a good book to read, to get, like, because if you're tired of the same old shit, like, people writing books and just a lot of conjecture and stuff like that, he actually does a really good job of framing it in like, oh yeah, I guess that could be what that is, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, right. And he's really funny too. So yeah, just a word shout out to Mr. Frank Bennett for his little speech there at the convention and his book.
Yeah, that's what I want to convey with his panel and with the intro, is that here's a guy who was giving a lot of great information and had a great sense of humor. And I said, that's why pretty much I left the intro in, is because I want to convey, at least to everybody, his sense of humor that he had. Yeah. And that was the big thing. And again, granted, folks, we're kind of catching up here. Me going to the Beer Fest, let me put it like this. Me and Big Candy, many years ago, went to a beer festival down by where Big Candy lives. It's a former plantation. It's now a historical landmark and kind of would you say a museum in a way?
Yeah, it's called Bell Grove.
So we're talking. There was, I think if I remember, the whole thing's kind of hazy due to the fact of alcohol being involved, and time has passed. Part of me wants to blame the missus on this because she had extra drink tickets, but we told them that she was our DD, and they still gave her drink tickets. They charged her the $5. They charged her the $5 DD price, but they still gave her drink tickets. That's their fault. But
and then I think didn't some people give us their drink tickets, or we found some or something ridiculous
like that. And
because we had way too much to drink that day. I'll put it that way.
And it's easy to do because it's a small glass. It's not a 16-ounce glass or a 20-ounce glass. It's maybe an 8-ounce glass.
Yeah.
So at times you can.
And they all vary in alcoholic content.
So in essence, you tend to have more. I don't know how to explain it, but
it'd probably be the equivalent of drinking like, instead of drinking like 16 beers, like, because we had probably about 16 tickets each, it was probably the equivalent of drinking like probably about, what would you say, about 6 tall boys, but probably, very fast and varying alcohol content.
Right.
Especially those Dogfish Head IPAs.
Right.
I think they were like 0.5 or something ridiculous.
They were up there. They were up there. And the thing is, at that event, way back when, there was maybe about, I want to say, over 20 different, close to 20 different vendors. For beer testing.
The only one that we didn't drink, I don't know I can't remember if you did or not. I remember just pouring it on the ground and looking at the people going, that was Heineken. I couldn't stand Heineken.
But I will say this as a standard for everyone out there, no matter where. We had the option to do this. It was our choice to do it. But if you're at most venues, I go by the aspect of, now that I'm a little bit older and a little bit wiser, my 2 favorite beers besides Yingling is Free and Cold. But that's just one. But at this event, I think there was maybe about, at that event back then, there was maybe about, like I said, 20, 24 different breweries at that event, where this one there's maybe about, I want to say 10 to 15, give or take, if not about a dozen tops. And you had Dogfish Ale there, and you had, I think, one big vendor. I think it wasn't Yingling. I think it might have been like Budweiser, but I doubt it, because I think I want to say the biggest brewery there was maybe Dogfish Ale, and that was it. The rest were all independents. So I went there. It was rather expensive. It was like $35 for this event. Same kind of ordeal. You got 10, in essence, 10 drink tickets. You got a small glass, and you had beers ranging from the average, maybe about 5-6%, all the way up to close to 10. And different varieties. And I was 3 sheets to the wind. Literally, I was 3 sheets to the wind. If not, I wasn't speaking fluent Aussie, but I was pretty dang close.
This one beer is Sharon.
I did have a list to starboard or port, depending on which way I wanted to go. But for the most part, I had fun. Despite the heavy downfall rain, I do have to put the video together and post it up to our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. I doubt it's going to be an all-around exclusive to either or, but I have to put everything together. And I did have a good time, and somebody did give me a few of their drink tickets, so I had, I think, 13 or 14. An extra good time. And I think I pushed it up to either my personal Facebook page or to the show's Twitter, like, I got extra drink tickets. Shit, this is gonna hurt. Because that was my thought in my mind. It was like, oh crap, I got extras, motherfucker. It's like I just went down to. It's like I ran out down to my last one, and I just got 3 more, and somebody pointed out, nope, you got 2 more in your wrist. I'm like, oh, fuck, and I'm 3 sheets to the wind as it is. I'm getting too old for this shit. And all of it was just good beer. There was coffee. Actually, I know I'm sounding like one of these beer aficionados saying about coffee beer and chocolate beer in regards to, it refers to the color, not the taste, but a lot of it tasted like coffee, and not in a bad way. It was like very good beer that I actually went back and like, give me another one of those beers. And yeah, like luckily I was within walking distance home, so to speak. It's like I don't have to worry about driving home, and as long as I walk somewhat normal, I'm not going to be and I have to walk by where the local dispatch is, and as long as I play it cool and
playing it cool.
By the way, officer,
I'm playing it cool. I'm drunk. I'm not drunk. Why you're drunk?
But nothing beats, I think, what happened during. I think I stated on the show earlier this year what happened at or late last year, what happened at the tree lighting ceremony on the way home. And pretty much what happened was, and where I live out here in Martinsburg, there's a tree lighting ceremony. And what they do is they tend to have cops that direct traffic. The traffic's blocked off, and they have and like most laws, depending on what the light says, you have to listen to the cop. So the person at the corner at that intersection was listening to, in essence, obeying the cop. And the cop pretty much said, you can't move until I tell you to move. Person behind that vehicle, honking like a motherfucker, and decided to go past that vehicle that was in front. And as soon as that vehicle did so, the cop said, you, pull over. Yeah, got its motherfucking ticket, too. It's like, you fucked up in front of a cop. Guess who's getting a ticket? Yeah, let's see you get all pissed off in your Ford F-150, Uber truck that's jacked up, too.
Did you see that video going around on the internet of that guy who was tailing that girl? And he rides by giving her the finger, and she was videotaping the whole thing. He rides by giving her the finger. Like, I guess I don't know why he was doing it. But then he loses control of his truck and fucking smashes into I think a telephone pole or something in a ditch. And he had one of those Uber Ford F-150, with the diesel stacks and shit. And he was being a dick, I think, and just fucking wrecked his own truck.
That's karma, almost karma personified, so.
Instant karma, yeah. Yeah.
So, to kind of, I want to say, want to go back to, because it's been about a month, is there any retaliation or any comments you want to, bring up in regards to what happened at the 4-State Flea Market or Otakon episodes or anything like that, and that way you could respond?
Just real quick, what we talked about ahead of the show, what it comes down to with the 4-State Punk Rock Flea Market, anybody that's been in the scene, the punk rock scene for a minute, knows punk rock shows get shut down. They just do. Usually it's by the cops, or it's by what happened there, an overzealous owner who basically agreed to something he had no idea what he was agreeing to, and in the end he freaked out because he didn't want to scare potential clientele. The lesson learned here is contracts on both ends, and to know what you're getting yourself into. I don't blame Matt whatsoever. It was this owner. He it was obvious, like, from what you told me, that the guy, he didn't like what was going on. He may have been pissed off. You can tell me this. Were there people buying alcohol and buying food?
Yeah. Everybody was. Yeah.
Well,
as terrible as the food was.
Yeah. I can't believe he would complain if he's got paying customers in the place,
One of the things that he was complaining about was not just the noise, but I think at one point people were saying, he's also complaining that not many people are buying food and drinks. We all were buying food or drinks throughout the whole day. So
I figured that was one of the things he might, because by the averages, though, was everybody drinking and eating as much as, like, your average customer coming in and leaving would. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I go to a restaurant or a bar and I'm going to be there, like, say, an hour and a half, or it depends on if I'm watching a game or something. If I go in there, I spend 45 minutes to an hour and a half in a restaurant. All things depending. And I'll have, if I'm drinking, I'll have like 2 or 3 beers and a plate of food. So this thing started at when? Like 10 o'clock? Or
about
12
closer
o'clock?
to noon, yeah.
All right, so it started at noon and was supposed to run, it ran till 9, but it was supposed to run till midnight. So were the people inside buying as much as customers would buy in a 9-hour period, or were they buying something just once and then just sitting around? You know what I mean? Like, I understand his point with that, but there's a way to get around that he doesn't understand, and that's called finger food. If you're going to host an event that's going to be like an all-day thing, you want people to keep coming back for more stuff. You do drink specials, and you do finger food. And that way people keep coming back. But if he was charging regular price and just serving stuff off the menu, he wasn't going to make much money. So that's his fault. Matt did nothing wrong. He booked the show, and the guy just didn't like what was going on. He didn't like, what was happening at his restaurant. He didn't like the noise level. And so he shut it down and then blamed Matt for everything. So that's not a good way to run a business. That's not a good attitude to have. And I hope that people don't go back to this venue for any reason. That's my 2 cents on that.
So it was again. You saw like the hashtag from me. I don't blame Matt, and you kind of saw the hashtag from Sasha. I side with Matt. It just basically the same thing, and Matt did nothing wrong. Again, he was the utmost professional in this.
I've seen this. I've seen this all too many times. Like, we threw a metal show at a Jamaican-esque Caribbean bar, and it was in Winchester. And like 2 out of like 4 of the bands that I had on the show, like, were yelling like "Hail Satan" and stuff. And so these Jamaican people that owned the bar were hiding in the kitchen because they were deeply religious and they thought the devil was in the bar. And so I had that one threatened to get shut down. I've seen everything from like owners of bars that don't understand metal and punk music, and they will get scared and they will shut shows down and they will hide, and then they will like not let you back, and like it's crazy stuff. They want that money. They want people to come in. They want that money. They want that revenue, but they don't understand the scene at all.
Right. And there's a lot that went on kind of afterwards that I don't really want to get into because it involves additional aspects of things that me and Big Candy went into prior to the show. But overall, what I told in last week's show and what we kind of went on here officially on this show is kind of our official story and my additional thoughts that I told Matt after the show and everything else will remain that. And Matt knows that he has a strong enough following in regards to this that it's not going to damage him that much if it does. I'll say that. Yeah, because he puts on a strong show. So,
yeah, sure. This is what he does. You know, the only other thing I wanted to comment on, I guess, would be the con news, the Comic Con controversy, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I don't see this being held up for long. I don't know how the judge judged the way he did. It doesn't make any sense to me that like they have basically single usage over the word con or convention, what it's short for. It doesn't make sense to me. But in the meantime, I hope that nobody gets really stuck on this, because I know there's some people that would have to completely rebrand their conventions, and I get that. But, like, honestly, just going from that and to using the word fest or using the word, I don't know, or just, I don't know, are they allowed to use the word convention?
I guess so. They could probably just brand it as a pop convention or something like that.
Can you say... Yeah, can you say like media convention or something like that? Because in essence, that's what it really is. You can say pop culture convention. You could say, pop culture fest. You could say, a lot of stuff. Like, I just hope everybody doesn't get hung up on it, like, and let them, try to throw these ridiculous lawsuits around and bring more notoriety to themselves than there already is. It's just, it's a dumb thing to sue people over. It's as frivolous gets. Like you said, there's no way anybody's confusing Salt Lake City with San Diego. Not at all. Not in scope, and not in, like, attendees, not in, like, media guests. There's no way. There's no way it's even close. And for them to go after them like that, it's just, I think it could have been anybody. I don't know why they went after them in particular. I don't know, but like it could have been anybody. But as long as conventions have been going on, like, the thing that I would have said, okay, like San Diego Comic Book Convention has been going on for how long now? Like you said, since the early 80s at least.
Yeah.
So this never was a problem until now.
Right.
With all the conventions that there are now that have sprung up in the last 20 years, this is now it's a problem. Come on.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that's kind of odd now. It's like we reported, I think, last year in regards to Mile High Comics not being there anymore, and everything else. Some of the, this, that, and the other thing. It's like, well, maybe a lot of the vendors or the major vendors are not going there anymore because they're not earning that much, because a lot of people are going to see the Hollywood stuff, not to really buy, and therefore the convention's got to, even though it's being sold out, they got to make the money back somehow. So they're deciding, let's start suing for the fact of Comic-Con. And I know
if they think for a minute that the Hollywood stuff is having any impact on the comic book industry in a positive light, go ahead and just look at some of the sales numbers for comic books this year versus, say, like 20 years ago, and tell me when the comic book boom really was. Because honestly, people aren't collecting like they used to. Not at all. Like, they're not buying like they used to. They're not reading like they used to. They don't care. Like, a lot of people are into the movies, and anything outside the movies is, who cares?
And the thing is, as you said, with the comic book industry right now, a lot of folks are getting... I had this discussion with a few people already that are part of the industry, and they kind of agree that the mainstream comic book reader is starting to pull away from the mainstream comic book industry, meaning they're interested in Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, so forth and so on, but they're not interested in Marvel books. They're interested in the movies. They're not reading those books anymore because for whatever reason they're not liking those, either A, what's written or what's drawn, but they're going towards the more or less the folks like Ethan Van Sciver and everybody else. They're going towards the kind of the Indiegogo creators and the direct market instead of these bigger mainstream issues. So you're seeing a shift, and that's one thing. And
it's a lot. It has a lot to do with creator-driven content. It has a lot to do with quality of your books, and it has a lot to do with like not having to buy like 15 different story arcs just to get one run complete. You know what I mean? It's like you end up like they don't just tell a story in a book anymore. They want you to buy an entire run of 3 different books just to get one story completed because it jumps back and forth, and it's like you can't do that, guys. They have right now. They've gotten away from like superhero characters for what they were, and comic book characters is what they were, and they've made them like just reflections of society and topical and like stuff that just is asinine, and characters that are really just hollow and shallow and like don't really have anything interesting to do or say. It's not like reading a Batman book when you were a kid and just going, wow, Batman's a badass. It's like now Batman has deep-seated daddy issues, and it's like I don't want to hear that. I don't give a shit about that.
And
shit.
Not to mention the same person that is spending $100 on like 15 different issues just to get a storyline or a complete storyline. They're taking that $100. They're going to like Indiegogo or GoFundMe or Kickstarter, spending the same $100, and they're getting a complete storyline, aka a graphic novel. Plus, they're getting a poster. They're maybe getting a sketch, plus a page art, plus a different, a special cover. They're getting a whole crap ton of extras for that $100, and they're treated really special. So it's either.
Well, I told you years ago that my shift happened when I started going and heavily spending time and money in Artist Alley rather than hitting the main convention floor, because there was just more interesting stuff. Those people are trying to really sell themselves. Those people have a lot to lose. So the quality and the storylines go up.
Yeah.
Where Marvel's just churning out shit, DC's just churning out shit of the same characters that you've been reading for the fucking last 50 years. These indie guys are really pushing it hard for new characters, new storylines, new ideas. They're pushing the envelope with like design. They're doing interesting things with their books that nobody else is doing. They're basically bending over backwards to please the consumer, just to get them in, get their foot in the door, And so it's much more interesting to shop over there than it is to shop in the major areas where they know they got your money, and so they treat you like shit.
Right. I mean, it's weird, and the thing is, you eventually. Here's my prediction. I wanted to kind of cover it more this week than last week. I just wanted to cover that briefly because it kind of correlated with the event at hand, kind of, sort of. But in a way, now that I'm thinking about it, there might be a time, because right now we are in that 24/7 society that maybe closer to 20 years ago, when the internet was kind of a new thing, not many people relied on it like they do today. Even back then, you still needed a San Diego or an E3. But when you look at E3 as a model, or as a potential model as to what things may come, is that you have places or video game companies, whether it be Microsoft, Nintendo, Bethesda, or whatever. Yeah, they still kind of rely on E3, but they don't rely on E3 because they're constantly, hey, guess what? Because of the internet with Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, they don't have to wait until E3. And maybe nowadays, eventually, Hollywood's going to wake up and went, you know what? We don't really need San Diego anymore. We kind of can, but we don't have to use them as a major crush. And you're going to see kind of San Diego falter, and that's when they're going to really.
Well, okay. You want to talk about E3?
It's probably a bad example, but.
No, it's a great example. Look at E3 and look at the business model for the genius that is Fortnite. I know I talk a lot about Fortnite on here, but it's because I'm so impressed by what they've done. The game doesn't cost a damn thing, and it's probably one of the number one games in the entire world right now. Because what they do is they change the content over time. You know, where it's different after a certain amount of time. You get a different map, you get different characters, different weapons, outfits and stuff, and you buy all this separate from the game. So you got people spending a lot more money than what they would spend on a game just in downloadable content or like purchasing on, online purchases. It's the example that I would like more companies to use, like you say, movie people. Like, I don't know how exactly they would work a business model around something like that, but it's a smart way to do things.
I'm just saying, it's like over the past, I don't know.
My whole point is, Fortnite did not rely on E3 to do their marketing. Right. They did it on their own through a great idea. And the same thing is going to happen with movies and TV. They're not going to keep going to San Diego and having to present, all their new content to a finite amount of people in a room. They're going to figure out a way to do it online for cheap and for free and somehow still make money off of it. You know what I mean? They're going to say, okay, for the first time ever, we're going to do an online presentation. You can be a part of it for free. But if you want special content, you pay a little extra. I think people would be into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the thing is, over the past couple of years, because I've been kind of sort of doing this, is gotten me a little bit deeper, not by much, but hearing the news over the past couple of years, especially surrounding E3, about companies kind of pulling away a little bit from E3. You might see that kind of with San Diego in a way. And you might have...
See, San Diego, what is San Diego... Underneath it all, what is it really? It's a media convention.
That's all it is. It's gone the way of being let me put it like this. The way right now Baltimore Comic-Con is, even though I support it, I'm a fan of what they've done, even though I haven't been there as frequently as I would like in years past, but they are right now more 80-20 when it comes to as a comic convention, meaning they're mostly comics, and when it comes to media, they only have a select few that correlate to the comic industry. But when it comes to San Diego, it's kind of the reverse. It's 80% Hollywood or 90% Hollywood, and the remaining percentage is mostly comics and comic-related items, whether it be Funko, other statues, or other artwork, or major, even toys or regular toys, whether it be Hasbro or Mattel, show up to San Diego. But there might be, because again, things happen throughout the year, what you might see is that because of this major convention, San Diego, you might have a few people in the industry, whether it's Hollywood or the toy industry, going, hey, wait a minute, why do we have to wait until June or July, whenever San Diego hits? There's this major convention in Houston, or there's this major convention in Chicago, or Salt Lake City, or or Orlando. We'll bring it. This is when the release date is. Let's bring the this show is happening in, let's say, Orlando in July, we're releasing this shit in September. Let's bring our major booth to this show in Orlando. Fuck San Diego. We'll go there. Besides, instead of us spending $80,000, $90,000 on a fucking booth at San Diego, or several $1 million on a fucking booth in San Diego, we spend $10,000 or $50,000 at this convention in Orlando, whether it's MegaCon or what have you. We'll just go there and spend a smaller percentage, and we'll have the same ordeal. Come on down to MegaCon in Orlando. Come see our big announcement. So
and they won't be overshadowed by the 50 other things that are being premiered. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It's actually a good idea, because a lot of things get pushed to the side, overshadowed, this, that, and the other, because San Diego's so huge. So the big thing is, if Hollywood would grow a brain and start doing that, start going to other conventions and setting up, instead of just keeping themselves in San Diego, you know, having online content for people, having exclusive content for people as well. You know, you'd see things like San Diego Comic-Con fall by the wayside, and they can take their Comic-Con shit and fucking shove it up their ass, you know, because eventually it's all going to go away anyway. When comic books and comic stuff in Hollywood are not the flavor of the month anymore, all this stuff is going to come crashing down, because people will find something else to be entertained by. Trust me.
Yeah, even though for the most part with the comic book movies, whether it be Avengers or whatever, straggling, we'll get into it in a moment, straggling shit that DC's been putting out, kind of fades to black, because right now it's still, the bubble's still increasing, at least on the Marvel standpoint. Once that bubble bursts, who knows what next comes along, because we initially had kind of the book bubble when it was Harry Potter, Twilight, Hunger Games. Now it's mostly comics. Where it might be manga that's the next big thing, or anime. Because
we talked about that. Anime might finally hit its stride in Hollywood. You know, you're seeing like Battle Angel coming out. There's talk of, I know they already did one, but there's talk of a major Hollywood release of, Attack on Titan. Not the Japanese shit, but like an actual Hollywood version of it. There's talk of a lot of stuff. If that starts happening, there's so many anime fans already set up for the world.
Right now, from what I've seen, granted, I'm not as close to the Japanese anime or the anime culture than most people, but I still see a lot of, as much as it has become welcoming to a lot of the casual fans, there is still a lot of fucking toxicity in that fandom right now.
There is. But the thing is, just like with the Marvel and the DC universe, cinematic universe, if it becomes big, that will iron itself out.
Right, like it did.
Yeah, because what you'll have all your basically your part-time fans, like everybody is now, being the majority, and the hardcore fans just sitting back being pissed off. And you know, you'll have like Hot Topic will be run over with anime stuff, and like, you know, everybody and their mother will be like, you know, into the anime culture, but there'll always be those nerds in the back going, well, actually. So, you know, it'll iron itself out.
Yeah, there'll be that hipster-esque anime culture. I was like, oh, I was a fan of Dragon Ball Z since the beginning, you know, and
Right. So yeah, I mean, it could be anything. It could be the next big thing could be video game stuff, and like, you know, who knows? I mean,
yeah. As one person once said, that when it came to like horror, there's always been like a cycle. First it's slashers, then it's zombies, then it's the old school horror stuff, then it's the jump scare type of thing, then it's back to zombies, then it's back to slashers, then there's that cycle where we're in right now, it's okay. First it was books, Lord of the Rings, again, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Hunger Games. Then it was comic books were starting during that time. You saw stuff like X-Men and then the MCU and the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, and those movies coming into play. Now it might be once those wear themselves out, it might be right now it's testing the waters. Witcher is going to be on Netflix, so who knows, you might see the end of the crappy video game movies, whether it's, granted there was a few good ones, but you might see a more realistic or better video game movies out there, and better anime movies, and it depends on which ones the casual fans and the normies latch on to.
My son watches all that stuff. He watches okay, you take for instance the shows that he watches, and people couldn't believe this 2 and 3 years ago when I was telling him he was watching this stuff when he was 2 and 3. He was watching Ryan's toy reviews. The kid's 9 years old. He makes $20 million a year off of YouTube reviewing toys. Stuff like that, and in video games, and the stuff that he reviews, the video games he watches, they become number one. The toys he reviews become number one. The stuff that he's watching is stuff that my son watches. Bendy and the Ink Machine, Cuphead, what else? Roblox, all that stuff. What's the game? Baldi's education thing, whatever it's called. All that stuff. Hello Neighbor. All that stuff could easily transfer over into comic books, could easily transfer over into cartoons, easily transfer over into movies, all that stuff. And I see that being the next big thing too, because with a lot of the online content and the people that do online content pushing that stuff, they're going to be the ones spearheading the next, big movement. And shit like Comic-Con, it's going to have to catch up.
Right. They have a long way to go. They're hitting their stride. As I might have said, I know it sounds bad. Let them sue. Let them keep doing it. And eventually a judge is going to say, you know what? You have a history of this shit? We're not siding with you anymore. You're turning frivolous. Yeah, we're not, no, you're being, in essence, a troll now, equivalent of a patent troll. You're being a copyright troll right now. So, you know what? No more. You're out. We're not letting this happen anymore. So let them. Right now, they have their rope. Let them hang themselves with it. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Definitely.
And to kind of move on, because it's been kind of a big thing. I know within the past week or so, we had at least one major loss with Burt Reynolds, God rest his soul. I know you probably heard me in the intro that we hope we extend. I can't speak for Big Candy, but for those of you who are weathering the tropical storm, or have, by the time you hear this, have weathered the tropical storm Florence, I hope you're all well and are safe. I have heard word that there has been at least one person, they're going to catch shit big time, because they decided, it's too expensive to relocate our prisoners. We're just going to leave them there. And they're in a flood zone and everything else, or some shit like that. So it's it's they don't want to move prisoners. From what I heard, there's one prison here, I wouldn't say here, but in Virginia, since they're not in they were not in a evacuation zone, but they were in an area that has a low, where they were is almost where the water table was, so they evacuated their prisoners just in case the water table went higher, so to speak. It was and from what I heard, that there's like within a mile or two down the road, like a stone's throw away, there's another prison. That's probably, they said they didn't evacuate their prisoners, probably due to the fact that they're a little bit higher up in elevation, or at least out of the flood zone or something like that. So one felt better safe than sorry, and the other one like, now we'll just weather out, we're higher up. So we'll see.
Yeah. On a lighter note, did you see that weatherman that got caught faking the power of the hurricane?
Oh yeah, I shared that too. It was like, I made the comment. He's
acting gale force winds, and there's two guys just walking around casually in the background. It's amazing.
Yeah, and the thing is I shared it up, and it was like, yeah, Lloyd, this would have been us like a couple of years ago before we got constant rides to and from work, when we constantly walked back and forth to work. And we're talking about, for him at the time, he lived maybe another, or was residing another quarter of a mile and a half away from where I live at. So he had another at least 45-minute walk ahead of him than I did. So we're talking about a 2-hour plus walk to and from work each day that we took. And one night coming home, it was just a light rain or a casual, almost a drizzle, light rain, drizzle type of ordeal. I turned to him and went, Lloyd, it's not that bad out. And we were at the Sheets by exit 16. You know the one I'm talking about. Yeah. And as soon as we hit that, right before that awning where the gas pump's on, downpour, like zero visibility downpour. He just turned to me and went, "Fuck you, Rev. Fuck you." And we had another hour like an hour walk home, and both of us were like drenched by the time we hit that Sheets. And I was like, yeah, that was us like 4 years ago. And his reply to me was like, yeah, I wonder which one said it's not that bad out and which one said fuck you. So it was just one of those, I know he said it with a smile, with no, hard feelings toward me, because it was that fun memory. It was like, yeah, we just, that was us a few years ago, and it's like, yeah, which one said it's not that bad out? He's like, yeah, which one said fuck you? And it was just so funny. It's real funny, but it's amazing. It's been making its rounds. I think I saw it like 5 times today, and I'll probably see it another 10 times.
The people making fun of it are even funnier. The ones that are recreating stuff and things.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of that shit too. And
the one girl leaning on that tree, and there's like kids playing in the background. It's like, oh, that was good. Oh man, there's a lot of them too. There's a lot of them.
I think one of the ones I saw was like, get off the table, I'll tell your dad, and they're trying to take it that way. It's, oh, these wins! Yeah. Like, get off the table, Bob, I'll tell your dad.
Another one was the two guys, like the one guy's holding on to the tree, and the other guy's like holding him up, shaking him, like he's like the wind's blowing him up off the ground. That was hilarious.
I still have a few people, because I've told people I don't get flooded. Literally, I don't get flooded. And they're like, oh, and I'll get calls, and people's like, oh, did your house get flooded? No. Oh, why not? Well, 50 feet behind my house, there's like a 23-foot drop-off. It's going to take a hell of a lot of water for that to fill up. And besides, the downtown area is going to get flooded way before I do. Really?
Like that tunnel, Jesus Christ, that tunnel, jeez. Holy crap. How deep was that, by the way?
At least close to 6 feet. I was telling my stepdad about it. It's like, yeah, a couple of weeks ago, by the tunnel, because it's a dip deck where that is, the creek, where the creek is, that's behind my house, it goes from a 23-foot dropout to maybe about a 5-foot drop off right on the other side, the far side of the bridge, and it got so much water it overflowed and filled that tunnel to about 6 feet. And my stepdad was like, "Yeah, I've been in that tunnel where it overflowed both sides." And my side of the tunnel is maybe about maybe a foot and a half shorter than the other side. So yeah, we're talking a hell of a lot of fucking water.
How'd that water get out of there? How'd they drain it out? Did it just go down eventually?
It does drain, but it's just that it gets so much or there's so much dirt and debris that the drains can't handle it all.
Because it was probably like that for a few days, wasn't it?
No, by the morning, because I think that was the next day I picked up, went to get my ride into work, and the water was gone. Yeah. So it's within a few hours it drains away.
Oh, okay, because the people kept taking pictures of it and posting it up for a few days, and I was
mine got shared. My photo got shared like a motherfucker.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah. Probably that's why
it kept popping up. And I kept thinking that it was still, a couple days later, it was still there.
Mine was getting shared like a day later. Like a week later, it was getting shared. I was like, wow, I wish I posted up to the show's account so I could see how far this was actually reaching. But,
yeah, right?
So I could get actual metrics on this. But it was, like I said, it was... Once the creek went down and stopped, overflowing, it gave the chance for the drainage system underneath the tunnel to go down. So part of me wants to get some beer and a lounge chair and kind of wait out the storm on Sunday night and Monday just to see how bad it gets.
Yeah, right.
But But for those of you out there, I hope all of you are safe and everything else. But to kind of continue on, one of the other things that's been kind of sort of in the news was it's very confusing because there's a lot of mixed news around it, and that's Henry Cavill no longer being Superman. Because word's gotten out that he was supposed to have a cameo in Shazam that's coming out later this year. And apparently, because of his schedule with Witcher and a few other projects, talks broke down. And because of those talks breaking down, a lot of people said, oh, he's going to be no longer be Superman. But a lot of word has come out that that's not exactly true. Just that the main story is Warner Brothers wants to concentrate more so on Supergirl than Superman right now.
Really?
And one of the things that also came up through the channels and all that and kind of was leaked out. Obviously, the fans, because of this news, the fans on all sides went fucking nuts. Like fans tend to do. They went fucking nuts. One of the leaks that came out through Warner Brothers is that they wanted Michael B. Jordan as the next Superman. For those of you who don't know that name, he was one of the actors that played in not only Black Panther, but that's his most recent work, but he also played in Creed. So,
Killmonger.
Right.
He was Killmonger.
He was Killmonger in Black Panther. And I think he was Creed's...
fantastic in that movie. He should have got an Oscar for that one.
And the thing is, WB was rumored to say he's going to be the next Superman, which pissed off a lot of fucking people. I've seen a lot of people pissed off because of that announcement. It's... I don't want to get into it because it's a very touchy subject, and
because he's black.
Yeah, because he's black.
Okay, I get it, people. You like your coffee with 2 creamers. You like things because they're a certain way, and you have to have them like that all the time. What's the harm in trying something new?
shut up. I'm drinking Crystal Pepsi right now, so shut up. Okay, I'm drinking Crystal Pepsi. As I'm drinking Crystal Pepsi right now.
Where's the part where you barf?
I've been enjoying it.
Oh, okay, sorry. No, I just...
My ex has not taken a sip out of this bottle.
I get it. I understand like why people are upset because they want Superman to be white. They want him to look like he does in the comic book. But we're talking about the DC Cinematic Universe, which is a train wreck anyway.
Right.
Okay? So what if Superman... I mean, would it be... Here's the thing, though. You can't go along with the same storyline that you've been going along with. Is all of a sudden if Superman's a black guy, that's really weird. So they would have to reboot the Superman franchise again. Do we want to do that? That's what I would have a problem with. I don't want to reboot the Superman franchise again, unless I don't know. I mean, you can, but I don't. For a one-off, yeah. I think for a one-off, it would be appropriate.
Yeah, I'd try for a one-off, yeah.
Why not? Yeah, but why not? Sometimes do. But you can't. I wouldn't say build the franchise around the guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I think he's got the body for it. He's got the build for it. I think he's definitely got the acting chops for it. But I don't know. I don't know what they would expect.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know. It's hard to say.
And the thing is, like I said, a lot of fans have been going apeshit. That's one of the things that they've been going apeshit about. There's a whole sect of fans that want Nicolas Cage to be Superman. I don't know why.
Because he auditioned for it before.
Yeah, that's the main reason. And I think I've seen a couple of reports saying Nick Cage has politely kind of dismissed things, sort of in a way.
The only role he ever turned down lately, that's awesome. Right. And he did the right thing. I don't want to be the last son of Krypton. Fuck!
But I think you should do like a Saturday Night Live skit, just for shits and giggles, just to get it all, that way the fans can say, okay, we've seen everything, it is a train wreck, thank God he just did it for Saturday Night Live, and that's it. But
it was bad enough that he gave us 2 Ghost Rider movies. Please just stay away.
Oh, don't bring that up. He wants to do. I think I've been seeing reports saying that he wants to do Ghost Rider again, but in a actual R format instead of like a PG format.
Stay away. Stop murdering it. It's already bad enough.
The other person that has stepped up saying, I want to be Superman, is Ken Jeong. A lot of you might know him from like the Community and the Hangover series, but I think he's doing it just because he has that sense of humor, and he's like, okay, why not me? Kind of thing. I think it's more, like I said, more so that it gets his name out there. That hey, I'm here. I'm, it's not really. I'm not really serious about it. I'm just here. I'm still around. But
right.
I do. Before we go into a little bit of if you want. I know you said yes in the show prior, but before we talk a little bit about what's happening, damn it, I don't want to go there because it kind of confuses you, or you don't like when I do it. It's going to happen. It's happening after we record this, but it'll be by the time it's posted, it would already been happening. Right now, my brain doesn't want to handle that past and present tense, but in regards to Hell in the Cell, that will be happening tomorrow night, because we're recording this on Saturday. I'll put it like that. But first, there's 2 things I would like to talk about or bring up and review a little bit before we go into kind of Hell in the Cell. Hell in the Cell. That's my thoughts, because recently I saw 2 things. I have to go into and watch Iron Fist because that just came out this week, and a lot of people are talking about it. But I still have a lot to catch up on, and it's going to take me a while to do so. Yes, it's the fall season. But first one, I saw two kind of new releases. I'll say this because they came out this year, and both of them are free in a way. I saw them both free. One was through Vudu, their free movie option, and thankfully I didn't have to pay for it. And the other one was a Netflix original, and thankfully it's a movie that would be, even though I pay for Netflix, it's too cheap to matter. Yes, I'm using bunny ears in quotes for a Audible podcast. The free one that was on Vudu was Hellraiser Judgment. And
oh no.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But the thing is, thankfully it was free. I didn't pay for this monstrosity like I did with Phantasm 5, but
no.
Luckily I got Phantasm 5 on the cheap through Vudu, so it's like, okay.
Angus Script was not the only thing that was lost after that movie. Oh yeah, it was the plot.
Right.
Oh my god.
And the thing is,
I don't even know what was happening.
The thing is with this, the series to me went down to me it's debatable. Some people say the series went down after 3. I say it went down after 4 and severely after 5, because I thought 5 was halfway decent. And this Hellraiser Judgment is a kind of a Hellraiser movie and kind of isn't, because it's kind of like the past several Hellraisers where there is a kind of a different plot going on other than the box. And let me just spoil it for you anyway.
Yeah, because nobody's going to watch this piece of shit.
Right. Basically, it kind of starts off with Pinhead talking to someone else in hell. And the discussion is that in today's modern society, there's too many people for them to go after and to fall for the box, or their atypical response of sending one of the boxes out and snagging the people that way. So they have to do something different. So you think you're kind of led in the aspect of, so they're kind of rebooting it and keeping it a sequel as well. Before I go, Doug Bradley is not in this as Pinhead. The person that is doing it, his name is Paul T. Taylor, and he's the third person to play Pinhead. That's including Doug. But Paul does a bang-up job as Pinhead that he's almost on par with Doug Bradley. He's not as good, but he's on par. He does a pretty good job of being Pinhead. But the basic plot is, not only is this aspect going on of them trying to lure people to, in essence, what they're trying to do is lure people to the location and get people that way. And the other plot is that there is a serial killer, or a biblical-based serial killer going around, and 2 cops are trying to solve it, and somehow both are related. It's like, it's weird, and how everything kind of fits together, and it's kind of stupid because it doesn't really fit together. It just goes severely downhill. It does. It's like they're basically, what this was supposed to be is a reboot. This was supposed to be a reboot movie of the franchise. A total reboot. No. And the guy that Pinhead is talking to in this, granted, if you want to check it out, it is free with the ads on the Vudu-free movies, the ads are not that intrusive. But the person that Pinhead talks to was supposed to be the equivalent of Pinhead, but in this, he's not Pinhead. But the way the movie ends, so to speak, it looks like this new character, this auditor, will become the next iteration of what Pinhead was supposed to be. Because the final result was this serial killer is, in a way, doing heaven's work, but eventually will be judged to go to hell down the line. But Pinhead kind of twists things so he gets the serial killer now instead of later. And thus, he kills... It's fucked up. I'm not going to spoil it. It's too stupid and confusing to spoil anyway, so fuck this shit. So,
way to bail that one.
It's too confusing. It's like the angel that comes down that tells them that, basically you're not laying claim to this person because in essence they're kind of doing evil, approved evil now instead of what Pinhead's crew is doing. They're kind of doing and because Pinhead decides, no, I want him now. I'm going to kill this angelic bitch myself and defy everybody. In essence, he gets banished from hell and becomes mortal at the very end. And it's stupid and it's fucked up and it's a little bit confusing. You're like, huh? What? Why? It's confusing, it's stupid, and at the end you see the auditor continuing what he was doing during the movie. So it was like, you know what? Is it supposed to be a reboot and a sequel at the same time? Like I said, it's confusing and it's fucked up. Even though I kind of said I'm bailing on it, it deserves to be bailed on. I wouldn't even waste my... I just saw it and it was like, oh, this is free and it could be show content for this week, something to talk about. And the other thing I watched because it came up on Netflix recommended shit and new stuff. It's an animated film called Next Gen. Like I said, it's a family animated 3D computer animated film. I decided to give it a watch one night, and let me just say, it felt throughout the whole entire run like a Big Hero 6 knockoff.
That's what I thought.
That's what it felt like. It wasn't, but it kind of was.
Right.
It's like, we want to do our own Big Hero 6, but we can't do Big Hero 6. Okay, let's have this girl who kind of hates robots because of reasons. Pretty much her dad leaves her. Basically what happens, like in Big Hero 6, the big brother, in essence, becomes a hero, and in the process of becoming a hero, dies in that aspect. And you have the overall that plot point. But in this, the girl's father leaves. Just, I had enough of this shit. I'm gone. And the mom, in order to deal, starts having this more of a attachment to technology and to robots. So the daughter is
robot boyfriend.
Yeah, in essence, becomes a robot fanboy. And so thus, the daughter has that whole aspect of, I hate robots. And it goes even one further. It almost plays as a anti-Apple motif to it as well. Because, because you have this company that... You have this guy behind the scenes that's almost like a Steve Wozniak that creates all these robots and the operating system for it. And you have this guy that's the Steve Jobs that's constantly promoting and trying to sell you the latest and greatest model. And it's like as they're trying, the movie starts off, they're going to this big robot conference to see this reveal for the latest and greatest model. And oh yeah, by the way, this year's model has a slightly bigger screen, and this year now has a headphone jack. I'm like, wait a minute, it kind of is spoofing off of Apple a little bit on this, and thus has that, anti-Apple but pro-Apple spiel to it, and it has the whole aspect of wants to be a Big Hero 6, but not really being a Big Hero 6. It's again one of these odd movies that's still, it's geared to kids, but they're not going to really care that's a spin-off or a wannabe Big Hero 6, yet not.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. If it's free and it's entertaining for like 2 hours, so be it.
Right. And the thing is, a lot of folks are saying that, at least the bigger industries, I saw a lot of articles saying, I think there was more so propaganda towards the cable/dish network companies, because they're like, oh, if you cut the cord, you're spending more than we are in regards to, meaning what they're trying to say is like, yeah, you might be spending $200 on our packages, but you're spending about the same amount on these services. No, granted,
not even close.
Granted, what the argument they were talking about is they're going for the higher end packages that are Netflix, and they're aiming towards the families that has like the $15 package for Netflix, which has the like 5 or 6 TVs and the ultra high def, and plus the $12 Hulu's aspect that has no commercials, and plus
and then it's a $249 a month like internet service bill. Yeah, I know.
And some of the articles were kind of excluding that, and like, there are people getting. It's like, wait a minute. It's like, if what you're talking about is the person getting top tier Netflix, top tier Hulu, plus the HBO add-on for Hulu, plus they're paying for CBS, plus they're paying for the YouTube premium stuff. But the thing is, you have the folks, the majority, that's the argument you're making. You're leaving out the aspect of the folks that are limiting themselves to the $10 plans for both Hulu. If you want to go all out, let's say 3 services, the main 3 people streaming services that they're gunning for is 1, Netflix, 2, Amazon, and 3, Hulu. Those are the 3 biggies. They're not really buying the Sling TV, or if they have the Sling TV, they're not purchasing Hulu. You're just adding up all the service that, like, Nickelodeon is now that has a monthly service fee. CBS that has a $10 service fee. Then Sling, then Hulu, then Netflix, then Amazon. No, they only have. Most people just have 3, and they have the free version of YouTube. That's it. Yep. Me, I have 2. Hulu, Netflix, and that's it. And I watch YouTube, the free version of YouTube. What everybody else watches on their computer.
We have Netflix and we have Amazon Prime.
Right. What more do you need?
But Prime, like, that does a lot more than just TV. So.
Yeah, you get movies and everything else.
And free shipping.
But that's to each their own. You get that range. You're not spending $300 a month or $200 a month like you are with Dish or cable. Most people have internet as it is. If you're spending $50 on a cell phone and you're watching YouTube, Netflix, and stuff like that, it's not you're eliminating that cost as it is. You're watching it on your tablet or on your phone, which is already hooked up to AT&T or Verizon or wherever your carrier is. So you're just making arguments for people to say, no, please stay with us. Keep the cord. Yay, keep the cord.
It's like, the reason people get away from cable is because it's the commercials. For me, that's what it is for me. Like, I go to my mother-in-law's house and I watch regular TV there, and it's almost unbearable. Like, the amount of commercials that are on during a program that you're trying to watch, it's so intrusive that you don't even feel like you're watching the show.
Now, granted, if I was a bigger wrestling, even though we'll be getting to the topic in a moment, if I was a bigger wrestling fan, I'd have the WWE network for an extra $10 a month and watching stuff that way. But I know for a fact once Disney finally launches their streaming service, a good chance it's going to be between $7 to $10 a month, more than likely. I'll probably be paying for the, depending on the content, I'll be paying $10 a month for Disney stuff. And good chance there'll be a great ton of content because they'll have all the Fox stuff too. But, and that be the case, I don't mind paying $30 a month. I'll be getting a shit ton of stuff. Who cares?
You won't be getting all those like Connecticut tax channel shit and like fucking channels you don't watch and like the hours upon hours of commercial television that's on there, and it's just like ugh.
Or if anything, if I want to keep it to $20 a month, I'll drop Hulu and get Disney. Granted, Hulu has their fair share of decent movies, but like this past fall season, I barely watched any Hulu. Barely. Yeah. I didn't watch,
We got rid of it because we didn't watch it anymore.
I might be doing the same thing, just not because I barely watch any of the movies on Hulu, and the graphic interface that is on Hulu, I don't like. It's painful, and the fact of the matter is, I barely watch The Simpsons anymore, or Family Guy. I think I watched Treehouse of Terror and maybe 3 more episodes of The Simpsons, and maybe 4 episodes of Family Guy. Other than that, I watched, it's good for South Park because I'm a fan. Other than that, it's not worth the $10 a month.
No,
that's it.
Really not.
Because there's nothing on CBS I watch. Or I should say NBC or ABC that I watch anymore. So what's the point? It's
funny because it's like all the late night shows and stuff like that, like Jimmy Fallon and stuff like that. They're so dumb. They put all the highlights on YouTube, so you don't even need to watch the show. Like, I don't want to sit there and watch his fucking dumb monologue. I want to watch him and the guests or the band that's on. Yeah, they put that shit right on there. You don't have to skip through all that stuff. So you get that for free on Facebook.
And the thing is, like, what happened late last year or early this year with the whole... it was last year with the whole aspect of the season 3 of Rick and Morty. What happened? It was on YouTube almost the next day, give or take a day.
Yeah, I
was watching the episodes on YouTube the next day, and that's the thing. It's like, yes, I'll call up Hulu and watch the once they hit Hulu, but screw it. I could just.
What did it for me? What did it for me was we were watching The Flash the day after it came out on the one network it's on, whatever. What is it on? The CW. I always forget. I wanted to say the WB. Anyway, so we were watching it the day after it came out on there. Well, when the new season that year, I guess it was like 2 years ago now, when the new season came out or the season ended, or they announced that they wouldn't be going back to Hulu, and instead, like, it was going to go, like, you had to, what was it, like, it was going to be on Netflix, but it, like, it had to go through the whole season first and then be on Netflix. And I was like, well, then what the hell do I have Hulu for? If they're going to lose contracts, like, what's next? I was like, forget it. I'm just like, get rid of it.
Granted, I have the CW app, but that's free. That's free to everybody.
Yeah, that's free.
It's like, exactly. Why is CBS and Nickelodeon charging $10 a month, $6 to $10 a month, where I'd be watching maybe, let's go with CBS instead of Nick. Granted, there's folks like you that have kids, but with me, with CBS, there's two things I'd probably watch. One of which is NCIS. The other thing is Star Trek. Why would I want to pay $2, $10 a month for two shows? That's $5 an let's see, less than $5 an episode? No, heck no. What if I don't like it? What if I don't like didn't like Star Trek Discovery? I haven't seen an episode, but what if I didn't like it? Now I'm paying $10 a month for one show. That's $2.50 an episode. Where $2 I could get it off of either Vudu or through the console. So screw that. It'd be cheaper that way. I'm better off season passing it. So
yeah, sure.
And I've told people right now, I spend about $20 a month. That's between Hulu and Netflix. And if I season pass anything, that's $30. And when you factor in the entire year, it's still under $30 a month. That's less than anybody's offering right now, because after maybe a year or 2 years, that $30 price or $40 price goes up to $50. That's if by the end of that terms of service, they don't start jacking it up anyway.
Yeah.
And I could tell people, it's like, listen, yeah, if you pay for like Dish Network or Comcast or whatever cable network, you're paying for that cable box. You're paying for that, box, that receiver box on a monthly basis, plus taxes and fees. With my Xbox One, I don't pay like a receiver fee. I own the receiver.
Well, the worst thing is, like, the receiver is such bullshit, because, like, honestly, TVs, like, we have a smart TV. It can do everything that receiver box can do. It's like, what the fuck do I need the receiver box? Oh, that's right. I needed to have your exclusive shit.
Right. And to receive the scramble or unscramble the stations.
Yeah. So, like, I need their equipment. Why am I paying for it? Shouldn't you give it to me?
Well, we have to make money somehow. We're the only company in town. Yeah, right. But one of the other things I wanted to bring up briefly, I know, good chance you didn't see it due to various reasons. I know I didn't make it out to see it today. But with what I've been hearing, I'm going to probably wait until it comes out on either Vudu or someplace I could rent it real cheap, and that is the new Predator movie came out this week, and I've been hearing a lot of, I won't say mixed reviews, but the reviews I've been hearing are that are coming out have been give it a fucking pass, or it's meh. Nothing that it's, yeah, you got to go out and see this now.
Who is doing the review? What are your sources?
A lot of the two that I've heard that it's been kind of, they've enjoyed it, but it seemed meh. One was Angry Joe. Angry Joe and Cinemassacre. Both have pretty much said it has its moments, the jokes hit, it's mostly borderline a comedy, and everything seems to be meh.
Okay. So you're going off of online reviews, not people that have actually seen it?
Angry Joe and James from Cinematica. They have.
No, I mean people that you know, people that know you.
Right. There are people that are kind of respected in their industries. One's, even though Angry Joe has been known to be more so a game reviewer, he does enjoy movies, and he doesn't just go alone. He goes with like 2 other people, and they tell their thoughts about what they experienced in the movie. They don't see it for free. They go out and see. They pay admission to see the movie either night one or what have you, and then they give their review on it.
I still don't trust.
Well, they're not like a reviewer for the Washington Post.
No, I get that. But I still don't trust it, because online reviewers, people that are online, tend to over-exaggerate, or that it's like they're giving a review of their bad time, not a review of the movie. And it's like, I don't trust it. Like, I still want to see it. I'm excited to see it. I want to see it for myself.
Right. And that's what the best thing I could recommend to a lot of people. You don't have to take any reviewer's word for it. Even though we might talk about I might talk about like Hellraiser Judgment or Next Gen. See it for yourself. If you got Netflix, all you have to do is pull it up and you can see Next Gen. If you've got Vudu on one of either your smart TV or your console, you could easily bring it up. It's free this month on Vudu, at least for the time being. It's not going to cost you anything, but unless you want to actually own it, then you would have to obviously pay for it. But
I tell people flat out, don't trust anything that I say.
Right.
Because, like, you know, for instance, like before the show we were talking and I told you about, like, apparently I don't like Christopher Nolan movies. But there's a whole lot of people who do, and a whole lot of people think that they're like the best movies, and that's fine. I don't like them; they put me to sleep. Like, so, you know, I get it, but I just don't trust online reviewers. I don't trust them for nothing, because I've seen too many movies to where I enjoyed myself. Like, okay, take Thor Ragnarok for you know, for instance. Have you seen that one?
yeah.
I thought that movie was amazing. I thought it was a riot. I thought it was great. It was funny. It was action-packed. It was really good. It got panned so hard online. It got treated like, meh, it was okay. Meh. I'm like, oh, you watch too many movies and you're just so jaded. Go away. It's like, I couldn't believe that it was getting bad reviews. But then it was funny because it hits Netflix, it hits DVD, Blu-ray, and people are like, gotta have it,
right,
and love it. It's 5 stars. So I just don't trust online reviewers. I think they're super jaded, and I think that, like, they want to review their bad time. That's all it is.
One of these days that over the next couple of months, if you Skype in or something like that, what I'll do is I'll pull up my Vudu account. Because I was thinking about doing this as a kind of a bit for the show. Folks are getting a little bit behind the curtain of what might be done in the past, so please do not hold me to it. So it's just an idea. What I'll do is I'll pull up my Vudu account, because I have a reasonably sizable digital collection, and we'll go through a good chunk of because Vudu holds up a tomato meter. And you and I have seen a lot of the movies that are on my list, and we could either see whether or not that rating falls within our ratings. Meaning, if a movie if they say the tomato rating is 0, does it really deserve a 0 rating? If you can understand that. Or if it's a 50% rating, is it within that range, or should it be more or less? Because we both know there are movies that actually suck, that as you said, the critics pan, yet suck. Yet there's also the movies that the critics say, oh, this movie sucks, yet they're either okay or better, way better than what the critics say. So
Right.
It's an idea down the line, so who knows?
What was that latest one that was like the reviews came in different than how people were talking about? Oh, it was a Star Wars.
Yeah.
The critics were praising that movie like it was like the friggin' like, you know, next biggest movie next to like Citizen Kane, and the people were like, wait, what?
Yeah, I think it was Solo, a Star Wars story, that they were like, hey, this is the best movie ever, best Star Wars ever, and all of a sudden it kind of tanked at the box office worldwide, and a lot of people are hoping that it breaks even with the DVD and Blu-ray sales. So
yeah, I'm
keeping my ear to the ground in regards to that, and Disney and the folks at Lucasfilm are still making excuses in regards to Solo and The Last Jedi. So that's probably the last thing I'm going to say about that. And you, our listeners, know how we kind of feel about Last Jedi. So, but not going to go down that rabbit hole. But
yeah, please don't.
But next, I gotta read into it a little bit more. I don't see it happening fully. Is that an article kind of was coming out saying that AMC kind of plans on doing The Walking Dead for another 10 years. I don't see it happening.
No.
I don't see it.
Sorry, AMC, your cash cow needs to go to the slaughterhouse.
Right.
No.
It's bad enough. Shows like
who's watching? Are there people still watching it?
I guess so. I'm still waiting for it to come out on Netflix so I can watch the current season. But
right. I think there's a good enough amount of people still probably watching it, sort of, but not as many as there were. I think a lot of people have grown really tired of that series.
Right, and it's I'm going to say this, it's not like a Simpsons, it's not like a Supernatural, it's not like a Family Guy, it's not like even a South Park, which had the stamina to and the content to last past the 10-year mark.
Yeah.
So it just right now Simpsons is kind of falling to the it kind of deserves to go the way of the dodo in a way because it's been around so damn long. I think they're running out of storylines. So the same thing with Family Guy.
The only reason either one of those is still on is because of like how long they've been on. You know what I mean? They're just on because
And I think it's the same reason for South Park too. They've been on a while, but the thing is with South Park, they have that. Even though they went out to overarching content for the season, they still have that fuck everybody mentality that kind of keeps them relevant each year.
The one thing about South Park that I'll say is that even if the whole season is kind of a bomb, there is always one episode that is just completely ludicrous, out of left field, amazing, and just hilarious. And I don't know, it's like they put all their effort into at least just one show. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what usually saves it. It's like, because you'll be talking about that one particular show. You'll be quoting that one particular show for the rest of the season, even if the rest of the season is bad. That's the one thing about South Park that I can say, is that they always have that one standout episode.
And they know how to do their stuff too. And it's not like it's when you look at stuff like the games that they put out, they kind of placate to the fans. It's not like, we're putting out a game. It's going to be in essence a season upon itself, and we're going to kind of play to the fans that are going, hey, we remember that little Easter egg, or we're going to play, we know that little Easter egg, and they know where their money is coming from and why people are tossing money at them. So that's that. Now, kind of move on a little bit to kind of the last little bit of topic, so to speak, and that's the Hell in the Cell stuff. You got the cards up? I should have kind of brought it up myself. I'm a bad front man for the show.
I got it. I got it in front of me. If you want me to send it to you?
Sure. Send me the link real quick. It's not good. Hopefully it doesn't ding my phone. I have everything turned down. So.
I was gonna. Do you have it? Well, I was gonna send it. Can I send it through Skype?
It's going to take a while because I have like 3 different programs running right now. Okay. It's better if you just send it through like a messenger, and I'll.
Okay. All right. So let me just keep talking while I do this.
So, folks, and that be the case, let me tell you guys about the. I haven't put it up yet, but hopefully by the time you hear this, it will be up, and that is our GoFundMe campaign. And the GoFundMe campaign that we will be doing is, well, to get better equipment. As much as I don't like to ask for money or beg for money in any way, shape, or form, this GoFundMe will help the show get a newer computer, better computer. It'll whatever extra funds that we gain from this GoFundMe will go to hopefully better camera equipment, an actual GoPro instead of the budget GoPro that we have. And I know Big Candy is probably, there's the chuckle. But the grand total I'm thinking of right now is about $1,500. $700. What I'm thinking of is about $700 of that is going to go to a better computer, because the computer I currently use to record the show, and it has been our workhorse for the better part of 3+ years, is about 4 years old, and a lot of it is starting to kind of go, meaning most of the keys don't work. So I'm planning on getting at least a $700 computer, or at least a $700 laptop that works and is way better than what we have now and using now. And again, the rest of the funds will be going towards like an actual GoPro, hopefully an actual DSLR camera, if we can afford it, or if we gain extras, we'll be getting what I lovingly call a pawn shop find computer, which will be our backup computer, or the computer that we bring with us to events to record, because some of the pawn shops in our area sell computers for $200, and the reason why, I know some of you out there is like, why don't you just get a pawn shop find computer to replace the one you do have? It's just that I don't want to have to pay another $200 another month to 2 months down the line. I want something brand new that's going to last the show at least for another couple of years down the line. So, and anything beyond that aspect, I'll be talking to not only you, our listeners, but taking opinions from various other people, including Big Candy, what we should do with any extra funds, whether it's save it for the show, or use it for going to an event, so we can have something to cover to help pad that cost. Meaning, if we get even more funds going to like AwesomeCon and covering it as a ticket holder, or just simply donating it to a good cause, depending. We'll have to see in regards to everything, and hopefully we'll communicate with all of you. And because of the aspect of the whole regards to possibly of, if you worried about us scamming all of you listening out there, we will not. As soon as I get computer on hand and paid for, I will be doing an unboxing. I will show receipts. If we give the aspect of the cameras, we will do an unboxing. You may have to film it with my cell phone and post it up that way. I will do so. That way, it's very transparent to all of you. And a spider. It's just, I want to keep everything transparent for all of you out there. So once that's done, I just have to start it up. And once, again, I have that link, I'll put it out on our social media and start sharing it to all of you. So, and there's the message. Yeah? I knew I didn't hear it. Ding. How about them apples? And let's see here. Here is the update. How about that? So I want to do this campaign proper with all of you. So, okay, as stated, tomorrow night, says last updated September 14th. I think Hell in a Cell is this Sunday, right?
Yeah.
In essence, tomorrow night, yeah. It says September 17th, but this event will air pay-per-view on the WWE 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, September 17th. What is it? Oh, yeah, that is tomorrow.
The one I have.
Yeah, it is. Why is it saying September 17th? Today's officially Sunday on the East Coast. I guess it's because
They screwed up.
No, I think it's, September 17th is BST. I think the aspect of 4 p.m. Pacific Time and 7 p.m. Eastern is Sunday night, the 16th. So, and like always, they're saying that there's a kickoff time prior to it, which is...
British. That's British Standard Time. That's over in England. 12 a.m.
That be the case. Yeah, then it's September 17th. So I think they're about 7 hours, 5 to 7 hours ahead of us. So
to all our fans in England, I'll translate. It will come on at like 12 o'clock, maybe like tea time. Okay, I gotta stop.
I would make a comment to our Wyoming fans, but they don't exist. Yeah, that's right. No one listened to us ever in Wyoming. There's one state that no one has listened to us ever. But there will be an hour kickoff prior, so in essence, I think 6 p.m. The what? The what?
It's because nobody lives in Wyoming. What?
Right, Wyoming does not exist. It's not a state. We just claim it's a state, just like New York has claimed New Jersey is not a state. People live there, but it's not. Not Disney or I'm a former New Yorker. I can make that joke. So. But the thing is, in essence, it starts at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because of the pre-show, which means that's one of the things I've said in the past that I've hated about a lot of the WWE pay-per-views / main events like this is that they have some stuff that happens prior to the pay-per-view or the event that used to be part of the event. Like, they'd have, okay, here's the Intercontinental Championship. Well, that used to be a big thing, a part of the event. Now it's kind of like not part of the event. It's like an afterthought.
I know. It is, and the only reason why they do that is because the pre-show is free on the network for people that aren't subscribers to entice them to watch the rest of the show. That's all it's there for. It's a marketing.
They've done that prior to the network.
I know. And it was to get people to buy the pay-per-view.
Right.
Because like you give them a little taste of the excitement and the what's going to happen, and you basically that they start this thing at like 7:00, ramping it up with like pre-show all garbage for like an hour and a half, and it's all the whole thing is in order to get you to buy into the pay-per-view or to subscribe to the network, because that's just how they operate. It's like they think that you're going to watch it and go, well, I got to watch it now. So, that's all that is. But,
what? You still there? Hello?
Anyway.
What? There's like about almost a few seconds of dead air. That it was like you were saying something, but it didn't come through. Oh, that's going to be an odd sound drop. Just flush it! But so far, while we're having some technical things while on the end of Big Candy, the card is pretty much that we'll break it down as soon as Big Candy comes back and is able to come through. There's going to be the New Day versus Rusev and Aiden English for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. It's a kickoff show, which means it's going to be in that little hour prior. Then it's going to be, I don't know if this is in order. Big Candy, if you are there, just pipe in any moment and we'll continue. And it's Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton, Hell in the Cell match. For a lot of people, it's like they're hoping stuff happens outside the cell. In one of the other matches, it's Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose for the Raw Tag Team Championship. And then you have Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella versus The Miz and Maryse. And let's see who else here. You have Charlotte versus Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And we have Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship. The AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe for the WWE Championship. And the Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman Hell in the Cell match for the Universal Championship with Mick Foley as the guest referee. And if you folks don't mind, let me see what's going on with Big Candy. There you are.
Okay. I had to get my wife. She came home, and because our internet sucks, I had to get her to turn the her phone off because it was taking up too much data.
Bummer.
So basically, it was siphoning my signal.
Oh, bummer. Tell her I said howdy and sorry. You could kick my ass later.
No, she's mad at me because I yelled at her.
Oh, you could tell her she could kick my ass later.
She thought that I left a dump in the toilet, but it wasn't me. It was our kid.
I heard.
So she should be proud of the dump. Proud of the dump.
Must have been one hell of a dump. Oh, and it went quiet. There. Okay. You still there? Howdy doody time. Howdy.
Anyway.
Oh. Anyway. Okay, let's go back. I read off the list while you were talking to the missus. We have. When did the New Day become championships? Snag the championship.
I don't remember. I don't watch SmackDown as much as I watch the Raw show. So.
Because it says this, I guess it's the kickoff show. It's going to be in the pre-show. New Day versus Rusev and Aiden English for the SmackDown Championship. I think they're going to keep the championship because I don't.
Yeah.
Rusev and Aiden English have always been kind of like the bitch boys of wrestling for a while. And I don't see them stepping up. So
well, Rusev is a fan favorite, but that doesn't guarantee anything in the WWE. So.
Right. Look at the whole aspect of Roman Reigns. All right, we'll get to that in a moment. I'm just using that as an example. Roman Reigns is not a fan favorite, yet he's champion. So
yeah.
Next up on their list is Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton, Hell in the Cell match.
I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to that one.
Again, as I stated briefly while you stepped away for a second, that according to at least what I saw in the article, a lot of people thinking that there's going to be a lot happening outside the match. I mean, the ring and the cell, because of Jeff being a high flyer. So,
right.
Who knows?
I think there's going to be a lot of climbing and jumping and falling through tables, and I guarantee that.
I expect a lot of high flying from Jeff. I don't think Randy's that big of a high flyer. Jeff is. He's the exaggerator. He's always been the performer and the person to put himself at risk.
Well, the other thing is these two need to really step up and improve themselves right now, as far as like being top tier on the roster, as far as like getting championship runs or something down the stretch, because Randy Orton hasn't been like a quote unquote factor in a while. He used to be top dog for like a long time, but like now he's kind of he's low to mid tier on the roster. So both of these guys, they've got to step up and have a hell of a match if they want to do anything down the road.
So there's a chance that Jeff might be carrying the match a little bit. So we'll have to see.
But the thing is, he's prone to injury, so I don't know if he's going to try and play it safe or if, what they're going to do. It's hard to say. He's definitely a risk taker, and they're definitely retiring. I don't think you're going to see anything from the Hardy Boys anymore, so he's pretty much he's a single act, and I think he's trying to do what he, trying to still stay in it and be a competitor for a while. So
there's a chance that he's going to be the showman, but in a safe way. He's not going to take the risks like he once did. So
probably not.
It'll be an interesting thing. I don't see him doing like what is it that he does, the Swanton dive.
I don't know. You might see him do a swanton off the top of the cage. Who knows?
Hopefully that's what the fans want, and whether or not Jeff gives them that, we'll have to see. So, and next on the list is the championships. The champions Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. And who knows? I don't want to say, even though I haven't been keeping tabs on everything, personally I want to see Seth and Dean get the tag team championships on this.
I think they will. I think there may be outside interference from Braun Strowman. I think there may be some interference with Roman Reigns. I don't know. It's hard to say with that whole thing, because that's what they're supposed to. All of them have been feuding for a while. That's been the whole Roman Reigns, the Shield versus Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, and Braun Strowman. That's been building for a while. So you might see some outside interference get involved in that one. I'd like to see Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose get it. And then,
You really think that might happen with either Roman Reigns or Braun Strowman, considering that they have a match later on in the night?
Oh, yeah. That doesn't matter. Braun's come out before like that, and if Roman Reigns is going to help his Shield brothers, it might be an angle for the rest of the show too. Say Roman Reigns comes out to help them, Braun comes out, he knocks him out. Roman Reigns gets put on a stretcher. Will he make it for the Universal Championship later in the day? Time will only tell what will happen. They might use it for an angle or something like that. You never know.
Not true. All they have to do is come out to the top of the ramp or something like that to kind of mess things up, quote unquote, or just go to the announce table to quote unquote mess things up in one way, shape, or form. Next up is Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella versus The Miz and Maurice.
Yeah, Maurice.
Right? Yep. Well, in this match, I want to say it's going to be Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella winning this, because they've always been a fan favorite, but there's always that I could be wrong in this, and they could just flip things on everybody.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't be the first time.
My prediction is it's going to be like the most heavily botched match of the night.
I watch, and it wouldn't be the first thing that the WWE has botched in a long time.
I guarantee it's going to be one of the heaviest botched matches of the night.
The next up is the champion Charlotte versus Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Again,
there's been a lot of heat on Becky Lynch because she finally did a heel turn on Charlotte, who was quote unquote supposed to be her best friend. So everybody's really happy that she did this heel turn, and she, of course, is the fan favorite in all this. Even though people do like Charlotte, Becky Lynch is still the fan favorite in all this. So I'm pulling for Becky Lynch, but I think Charlotte's going to pull it off.
It's true. There has been a lot of cases to be said in regards to fans enjoying the heel more than the baby face, so to speak.
Yeah.
Randy Orton was one back in the day, so was the Piper himself. So it has been a history throughout the years in regards to that. So, and next up on the list is champion Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship. As much as people probably want to see Alexa win this, I want to say the way they're strongly pushing Ronda as the champion, they're going to probably have Ronda keep the title for this.
If they're smart, and I don't know if they are, I think they should have Alexa Bliss win, and I think she might, because I think they might have given it away a little over a month ago that she was going to win, because they have an all-women's pay-per-view coming up, I think next month, and she was billed as the champion then versus Trish Stratus.
So instead of one of the Coliseums fucking up and leaking in the information, it's their own PR team.
Yeah. So unless they made major changes behind the scenes to that or something, basically they were saying that she was going to be the champion going into the women's pay-per-view. So, and I still say it would probably behoove them to put the belt back on Alexa Bliss, because, I mean, Ronda Rousey, she needs something to fight for. Otherwise, what is she going to do? Just tear through the women's division, like, as a fighter instead of a wrestler? It's kind of weird. Right. Hopefully, it's not as one-sided and boring as that last match that she did. Because it's like, I get tired of her getting in the ring and just fighting these girls. It's like, dude, put on a show, man. If I want to see you fight, I'd see you go get knocked out by Amanda Nunes. So it's whatever. I don't know.
Kind of like it was the whole aspect of the CM Punk thing. It was boring, and even though it was kind of exciting, it was, after a while, it got kind of boring. So yeah, I can understand what you were saying. Next up is champion AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe for the WWE Championship. I don't know. Something was. I'm kind of mixing this. Something tells me that AJ is going to be keeping this, and another part of me wants to say that they're going to give it to Samoa Joe for some reason. It's kind of hard to say.
I would like to see Samoa Joe win. I don't know what kind of a champion he would be, but the storyline is pretty good between them right now. It's a pretty good old school storyline. They're going a little bit outside of like wrestling for it, so I don't know if you've been following it all, but Samoa Joe is like severely messing with AJ about his family, and he's telling like how he's never home and like how he's
he's not doing his duties as a father, and his kids are like being abandoned and all this stuff like that. So it's good in that aspect. So AJ's like doing all this, like he's real mad and stuff with the storyline. He's like he's doing quiet reflection in an empty arena, and so I think that they may have AJ win it, but I would really like to see Samoa Joe win it. I don't know.
That almost sounds like the promos of like the early aughts on like WCW, where you saw them like go after the folks at home, and I think later. When I was watching WWE with you and the missus back in Inwood, just when they would go home and just smash up like Orton's place or something like that, and so who knows with that?
It's kind of a call.
Right. It could be a coin flip matchup, and hopefully, I'll bring it up after this last little card after we discuss it, and that is Roman Reigns the champion Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman, Hell in the Cell match for the Universal Championship with Mick Foley as guest referee. Something tells me that as much as the WWE is pushing Roman Reigns to be the champion, they might be giving it to Braun Strowman. So
I would like to see Braun Strowman as the champion.
But the thing is,
again, I don't know what their angle is with Mick Foley. Why Mick Foley as a guest referee? I don't understand. It sounds to me like there's going to be a bit of a dusty finish here,
right? If
you ask me.
One of those aspects of like you were thinking, I won't say you were thinking, but what we were thinking with a lot of the what's his name? Roman Reigns versus shit. What's his name? They had a few, like a half dozen matches this year between the two of them.
Brock Lesnar?
Yeah, Lesnar. Like they were building up these matches, and all of a sudden they'd end after like 10 minutes with Brock being the winner. So.
Well, no, I think this will have like what? Are you familiar with the term "dusty finish"?
Not really. It's a new term for
dusty finish. A dusty finish means it's it's an old reference to like Dusty Rhodes, to where you can't really have a defined winner, and somehow the referee gets knocked out, and the bad guy does something really dirty, and despite the good guy, the face, despite what he's trying to do, like he'll pin the guy, but the referee's knocked out. He goes and tries to wake up the referee, and then the bad guy comes up behind him and hits him in the back of the head with some like a brass knuckles and knocks him out. Then the referee wakes up and counts 1, 2, 3 with the bad guy on top. It's one of those. It's something involving the referee getting knocked out. That's a dusty finish. I think that's the whole point of Mick Foley being the referee in this thing. Like Roman Reigns is going to go for like a Superman punch, and Braun Strowman's going to throw Mick Foley in front of him, and he's going to knock him out, and like, oh my God, he knocked out Mick Foley, and then like
or somehow something to that effect. Or
somehow, some way, Drew McIntyre. Yeah, somehow Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler come down to the ring and they beat the shit out of Roman Reigns, and Braun pins him. It's going to end up somehow like that.
Just that recently, over the past couple of months, it seems, even though I've missed quite a few pay-per-views, just that they've seen, especially earlier this year, they've seen a kind of meh-esque. It's like they're overhyped, and you expect maybe a decent length match, and the match might be a decent length, but overall it's unexciting in a way. And I mean,
to me, it's like they seem fun, but it's just because I'd say it, I'm kind of easily entertained. But I'm not one to complain about stuff like that. I always like wrestling. I always get into it either way. So to me, it's been a lot of fun lately, but I don't watch the regular shows. I just watch the highlights. So I think that's what's been kind of keeping me from being like so meh about everything, is that I'm actually not watching the weekly show. I'm just watching the pay-per-views. So it's kind of a treat for me, almost.
Right. And for me, it's kind of... I'm almost in the same boat as you, is that I tend to watch some of the highlights, and I try to catch the pay-per-views when I can. It's been a while since I've seen a pay-per-view. I think the last time I seen one was back in maybe May, April, May. So this will be the first time I've seen one in about a month. So we'll see how things go. And hopefully this becomes an interesting match. Overall, who knows? I might talk about it next week, but I'll have to see in regards to how things fall. Whether I want to put up another panel episode or save things, talk about this again next week. So who knows? Is there anything else, or?
I think that's about it.
So, you want to close things out for the show, or anything else?
What, you want me to do, a friggin' dance or something?
Well, you could dance, it's up to you, but no one's going to see it but the misses. But...
Right. Oh yeah, I got to get off here because I got to go get yelled at. So,
and that be the case. Stay tuned, folks, for kind of like the after show stuff, which is me telling you all the links and where to find us. So please stay tuned for that, and hope you all enjoyed the show. So take care and
bye.
Bye. Well, everyone, that's our show for this week. I hope you enjoyed not only our interview that was at the start of the show, but our Hostful as well. Remember, you could join in the conversation by not only emailing the show at longcoatmafia@gmail.com, but you could also send us and interact with the show by following us on Twitter, which is Longcoat Mafia, and on Instagram, which is also Longcoat Mafia. Now, we do have a YouTube channel, but you have to, we don't have that many subscribers yet. So, in regards to YouTube's ever-changing, mysterious policies, we don't have that many YouTube subscribers to actually change it to Longcoat Mafia Podcast. So, right now, you actually have to search for us to find us. And the thing is, not every video we make is going to be put on YouTube. Depending on where we are and what we're filming, it's not going to go on YouTube because of possible being dinged by the infamous YouTube algorithms. So it's best to also follow us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/The Longcoat Mafia Podcast. So there we'll also have videos, and we'll have Facebook exclusive videos. Just like there's going to be at times we're going to have YouTube only exclusive videos. So it's best to kind of follow us on both when you get a chance. If you're listening to us through either iTunes/Apple Podcast or Google Play Music or Google Play Podcasts, you could also, just want to let you know, there is a Podbean app that's out there. So this is if you're listening to us on the go and either Google or Apple is giving you problems getting our show, the Podbean app will always be there, and you'll be able to listen to not just the current episodes, but episodes going straight back to the beginning. Our cringe-worthy episodes that we started way back 3 years ago. But if you enjoy listening to us on the desktop, and for whatever reasons iTunes is giving you a problem, you can always head over to our website, which is thelongcoatmafia.podbean.com, and download our episodes that way and listen to them on your MP3 player of choice, or you can stream them through Podbean themselves. And again, you can listen to all our, if you missed any episodes, you can listen to them up on the website or download them and listen to them on your leisure. And we are available on Stitcher Radio and Spotify, so if you are part of those programs, we are on there. And we do thank all of you who do listen in one way, shape, or form. Let's see, what else? Please, if you follow us on social media or you look at our social media in any way, shape, or form, please hit that like or subscribe button or that follow button, because it shows that you want to keep up with what's happening with the show. Also, again, we do have a GoFundMe campaign going on. Please donate if you can. If you can't, please share the link. The link is going to be in the description down below. I won't say so much down below, but in the show description on our website. So please click the link, share it, copy, paste, whatever you can. It's going to be on our social media. I'll be tossing it up every now and again, so please do so. That way you can donate when you finally do get the money. But again, if you don't or you can't for whatever reason, please share the link. It will help the show get new equipment. What else? Again, while you're on Facebook, you can also message us and follow us that way. We try to be as listener friendly and social media friendly as we can. So please do so. And let's see what else. Please stay tuned. We will be going this October 20th. We'll be going up to the 4-State Comic-Con, and we'll be trying to get interviews, maybe 1 or 2 panels. We'll probably be a part of one of the panels, but I'm not sure. It's still well over a month off right now, so the card is still subject to change, and they're still announcing people, and there are changes being made, so I don't know exactly what's going on. But once the final card for the con is available, we'll probably either get Matt on or talk about who's going to be a part of it. So that's that. And let's see. We will, like I said, we'll have a table there. You can meet with us. More things to come, and stay tuned. We still have a bunch of panel episodes. Oh, by the way, yes, before I forget, as I said earlier in this episode, Hell in the Cell was tonight. For the most part, it wasn't really a meh pay-per-view or event, but there were some that seemed to be kind of like a boring match at first, but they kind of got excited later on. Were we right in our predictions for it? Yes and no. But a lot of things that we expected to be right, we were wrong, and some of the things we were kind of spot on. The final match, which was the Roman Reigns / Braun match, the Roman / versus Braun match, was a pretty decent matchup, or Hell in a Cell. It's kind of like the match that we kind of expected, and in spoilers, or I shouldn't say spoilers because some of you probably watched it tonight, Lesnar showed up and kind of interrupted things and did hit a lot of damage to, I won't say a lot of damage to the Hell in the Cell and to Roman and Braun, but just him showing up kind of ruined things for me, and that's my opinion on it. It could have been something even more, but what started Hell in a Cell off was the Jeff Hardy match. And earlier today, we found out that his brother is kind of retiring, even though it's been rumored for a while. He kind of made it official today that he is retiring from wrestling, active wrestling, due to injuries and so forth and so on. What's going to happen? I don't know. But for the most part, Jeff's match was kind of it was really weird and kind of cringeworthy. It was what we kind of expected, but it was more cringeworthy than anything else. So, if you did watch Hell in a Cell and you made it this far, one, thank you for listening all the way through, and tell us what you thought about Hell in the Cell by, again, emailing us at longcoatmafia@gmail.com or messaging us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Longcoat Mafia Podcast, or sending a direct message to us through Twitter or Instagram, which is both handles are Longcoat Mafia. So take care. See you all next week, and next week might be a panel episode. I'll have to see. So more than likely it will be one of the panel episodes. So again, take care, and I hope, since some of you out there might be in the hurricane / tropical storm / tropical depression Florence zone, I hope all of you are safe, dry, and everything else, and thoughts, prayers, well wishes are heading your way. And again, see y'all next week. We are out.
See you next time on the Longcoat Mafia.